Hello everybody, I think we are ready to get started here with this third episode of our Inside Implant Studio live webinar series. Today's topic is, as we've written here, it all starts with TRIOS. And here on our end today we have myself, Thomas Hedegaard is my name. I'm a product manager here in 3Shape, and joining me is my colleague Jan Paulix.
I'm a dentist here at 3Shape. And today we are going to look at the connection between the TRIOS and Implant Studio. So be amazed.
Yes, exactly. So we have divided the agenda of today into 3 points. The first one is working with Implant Studio and TRIOS, where we will look into the opportunities, and Jan will give us some clinical insight of how and why it makes sense to work with our solution. Then we will look at a little bit of technical details, very short, on how we can actually set up a connection so we get our TRIOS scans into Implant Studio in a seamless way. And then we will, last but not least again, utilize that we have Jan here and look at some scanning tips for surgical guides and how we make sure to capture enough data. So let's get started with the first point. So here on screen we see the actual order form on the latest TRIOS software, and I'm not sure that everybody is aware, but actually to work with Implant Studio out in the clinic can be done directly from TRIOS. It obviously requires a little bit of thought and a little bit of talking to a lab, but as we see here on screen, you can actually order implant planning and surgical guides directly on TRIOS. So on the order form, you can see you can go to the implant planning tab, you can select planning and guide for the selected teeth, and then you can actually send this order with the information to a dental lab or manufacturing partner via 3Shape Communicate. So obviously, Jan, this is an easy way for a doctor to order or get hands-on to some information of surgical guides and the whole world of implant planning. But without having implant in the practice, I guess there's also some downsides seen from a doctor's point of view.
The problem can be if you just scan and send it away, is that you don't have the full solution in your hands. You don't have control over the situation. And if something is to happen, you always have to wait for the person that is doing the planning for you and the guide. So that is why we have Implant Studio, and we're going to show it that it actually comes in 2 parts. So we can let the dentist be more involved into the creation and the planning, and then let the lab do what they are good at. A question on this order form here, we see that you have marked 2 teeth and that we want to do an implant planning and a surgical guide. If I want to do more teeth, do I just mark more teeth, or how do I do it?
Yes, a good question. But as with implant planning and surgical guides, the way to indicate what teeth you are wanting to make a plan for, and what teeth you want the guide to go in and be able to replace teeth by placing implants with, is simply on TRIOS by marking and then selecting for each marked tooth. You can go in and select planning and guide. Obviously you can mark multiple teeth and then just make one selection. So in this case it's the 2 molars marked. If I wanted to include more, then I could do that.
Sometimes as a dentist I'm a bit afraid that if I mark something on the order form, I do it wrong and then everything will be messed up. Is it possible for the laboratory to actually change this later on their side?
Yes, absolutely. When they get the scans in, and they either for clinical reasons evaluate, okay, the 2 or 3 implants that the doctor decided could be a good solution cannot really happen from a prosthetic standpoint or from a bone standpoint, then you can always go back to the order form in Implant Studio and change it. So that's possible. So this is kind of used as an indication to say this is this is the region I'm working in.
That sounds very reassuring. What more can you show me?
I can show you that one of the challenges as a doctor is, of course, that how do I connect to a lab that is either using Implant Studio or has some kind of services related either to take over planning of my implants or help me plan my implants or help me manufacture my guides. And we have a kind of section of our web page where you can go in under customer programs on 3shape.com. And here you can then find what we call our Implant Studio Ready program, which is basically a program we run together with our lab customers where we can then go in and help them get started with Implant Studio, and then they complete some different stages, and then we can make a list with contact information of different labs as you see here, and then you can read what services they can help you with.
This is really nice because here I can see on this list that some labs they are actually doing the guide design, and some are helping me with every step on the way, and I can even get help to be trained and so on by them. This looks really good.
Yeah, so most clinics, even though most clinicians at this point do not have their own manufacturing equipment for surgical guides. It often requires big mills or 3D printers, and as we know, that's often equipment that the lab will have. So here's an easy overview and actually say, okay, can they manufacture, can they design, and can they help me with prosthetics design as well? If we extend this workflow, then you can say the next step of going digital in 3Shape with our implantology solution is really then to take on the Implant Studio Planner. And what the Implant Studio Planner enables you to do is, together with TRIOS, now you can be involved as a doctor and you can actually take control and place implants in a very, very nice and seamless software experience. So you no longer have to outsource the actual placement of the implant with a lot of the clinical knowledge that goes into that process. You no longer have to rely on someone else to do that. Here you can be involved.
So this is the planner, and here I as a dentist can do the planning, and then I can send it along to the laboratory, and then they can help me with the guide because they are used to fabricate and print and mill prosthetics and so on, so they are familiar with that workflow.
Exactly.
It looks nice. And also here as a dentist I have the opportunity to actually place the implants and see the problems in the anatomy, in the bone, what the problems might be during surgery. I know that sometimes it's good to actually do the planning, and even if you don't later do the guide, you have at least done the planning, so you know exactly what the bone will look like and how the surgery will be. So this is a very, very nice tool. It's very reassuring for me as a dentist to be able to see what will happen already before I do it. This is a good idea.
Perfect. So then, of course, the next step is for the doctor. You can say that is maybe very experienced in using guides and guided surgery already, and also knows the limitation of using centralized solutions where you're not really involved in deciding how my guide looks. Because sometimes I imagine that you, as a doctor, you would want some kind of sparring or input given to the person actually designing and manufacturing the guide. You know, there's issues with making sure that we can get water close to the drill, so it can be the temperature can be kept within the range we would expect. And I guess there's also other clinical considerations that actually could go into to designing guides.
It's the retention of the guide. It can be the problem, like in this case, it's far back posterior, so how much can the patient open the mouth? There are all kinds of inputs that needs to be considered when you do and design the guide. So for me as a dentist to let someone else do this, it can be okay, but I have to give them some input, and to be able to actually do it all myself, to design the guide and then just outsource the printing, or if I have my own printer, it will be even better. So it's a really good tool.
Yeah, so as you see here, we're quite modular in our approach to enabling people using the digital workflow when it comes to surgical guides. The first solution that we briefly talked about was TRIOS, and how to order directly with TRIOS, and how to kind of connect into a workflow for surgical guides and implant planning only with TRIOS. We've seen how to work from the clinic or a clinical practice standpoint with only the planning part, and now obviously also the full-blown part. So there's really something for everybody where you can go in and kind of scale to the solution that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. So this is sent over my usual Communicate account from my TRIOS as a scan to the laboratory or to the Implant Studio software. So how does this work when we're connected?
Yes, that's obviously the next big question. Now we've talked a little bit about the workflow. So how do we actually do it, and what do we use to do it? And there's some different options available. The first option is, as you say, with using our Communicate cloud-based solution, where you on TRIOS use the sending functionality, and then in Implant Studio you can use the receiving functionality. So the work would be you set up the Communicate account on TRIOS, set up a Communicate account on Implant Studio, connect the two, and send from A to B. And then when you receive something in Implant Studio, whether it's you as a dentist in your office or if it's directly sent to the lab, they need to go in and add the DICOM or the CT scan to have a complete data set. So that's one way of doing it. Another way that we have just launched as part of our new software platform is, again, this software from 3Shape. We are very, very modular. So now we have a shared platform where you can have TRIOS installed as one kind of module or one program on this platform, and then Implant Studio can be your second platform. And what that means is that here you can actually go directly from TRIOS scanning and into Implant Studio without having to send to any cloud-based solution. And you can even make what we call client-server setups. Basically, if you want to split the scanning workflow and the design or the planning workflow up between clinics or between machines, then you can do that by having the TRIOS scanner out there in the clinic scanning all day, and then having a separate PC out in the office, out in the back, where you can then log in and grab the scans directly and then just do your plans out there.
So this actually means that I can scan the patient, do the planning in my office, and then actually go back into the office and show the patient on the same product, on my same guide. So I'm actually working towards a server and not on separate softwares and computers.
Absolutely. So we can kind of say that we share the scans on the server, and they are then accessible from multiple sites. And this is what we very much believe in is the future kind of way of putting software together in the dental clinic.
This is very good, because often you need to have the scanner working on several patients, on next patient, and you cannot have the computer occupied by doing planning and everything. And now we can actually scan and then go into another room and do the design and everything in our own time. Or this will work.
Exactly. And we will. This is a new way of kind of linking things with Implant Studio and TRIOS, and we will actually see a short video in a short while that we have prepared for this webinar, where you can actually see how it looks along the way. Just a quick note here. Basically, because there are countries out there where Implant Studio, the latest versions, are not yet approved for clinical use, but we are of course working on it, then be aware that if you're working with Implant Studio 2014, this new way, the dental desktop client server way of distributing scans is not enabled, but there we have the direct connect solution instead, where you can push scans to a shared folder via a local network. So a little bit the same, but not as smooth. The first users, you can say, that will feel this and get full experience of this is the users that are running on the latest TRIOS Practice Lab platform and the latest Implant Studio platform with Implant Studio 2016. All right. Oh, that was
So here we have prepared a small video where we actually show the whole workflow, and I took the opportunity to show, and I want to share with you how to scan for a single implant. This is the first video of several where we actually will show you how to scan for different cases, different numbers of implants, different positions in the mouth, from this single one all the way up to edentulous. And today we'll start with the single implant, and to give you a small preview also of the software if you haven't seen before, we're actually showing it in the 2016 Implant Studio software, from scanning to the ready guide. So here we see a video where we actually have a single tooth missing, and what we can see is that we want to scan for a single implant. We go into the software, open a new case, and we want to send it to the guide itself to an external lab. We go into the order form and mark the tooth or the area where we want to design and place the implant. We go in and we choose implant planning and surgical guide, and we click next. You will see that there is a lot of next in the software, so it's fairly easy to use. So if you concur, then you just click next. We start with the lower, and we will start scanning on the most posterior tooth, occlusal. And we will follow the normal scan strategy that we always follow. The important thing here is to cover all teeth that is going to be involved in the guide, but not only the teeth, but also the soft tissue. So what we do is that we scan to the canine, then we go down deeply inside next to the tongue and push the tongue away with use of the tip, and that with a 70 to 80 degrees angle. Then we scan posterior of the last tooth, getting as much retromolar area as possible, so we can actually rest the guide on that area if needed. And then on the buccal side we go back with, again, with 70 to 80% angle. And by this way we are actually getting all the soft tissue we need for the guide to rest. We can see the structures beneath the tissue, and the surgeon can actually do all the planning and get a nice view of this. After marking the tooth, we can actually see that we are missing some areas, and because we are going to use the software to first design a tooth and then place the implant from that, we need more information with the contact points, so we will actually go back and rescan that area a little bit again, just like we do normally on the TRIOS. So you TRIOS users, you can recognize yourself. The software and the layout works as you know it, but you have more functionality because it's a part of the TRIOS and Implant Studio as well. So here we trim away the last small things so that it looks nice, and then we can use all the soft tissue to place the guide, and we can, in this case we will make it tooth supported, but of course if you have more soft tissue you can also make it tissue supported. So it was a good opportunity to share the first of several videos of how to scan. And of course, as quickly as this video is released, we will share it with you. You can find it on YouTube, you can find it on our support site, and if you need it sooner, if it's released, please contact your local distributor or reseller, or manager, and they can also help you get your hands on it. So what was important? Do you remember that, Thomas? Do you remember the things?
Yeah, see now I'm getting a little bit of help here, of course, but the first thing from your explanation that I think we'll take away is that actually when we design guides, even for single unit, we need to think about the soft tissue. We
Yes,
need to
correct.
think about capturing enough detail of the soft tissue, because we want to avoid having to design over an area where we basically are not sure where the surface is in the patient's mouth.
Yes, that's correct.
I remember that one. Then the next one is, you mentioned a couple of degree angles that are good as a rule of thumb, is to go deep, as I heard it, and try and capture the soft tissue all the way down to an angle of 70 to 80 degrees, which is also a little bit special compared to scanning for a single crown or something similar.
Yes, and it's a very good way to actually use the tip of the TRIOS to push away the tissue or the tongue, because it doesn't hurt the patient. It's preheated, so it's warm and nice, so you can move it easily next to the teeth, and then you can come deep next to the crest to actually capture as much soft tissue as possible.
So with the TRIOS, should I be worried about actually touching soft tissue? I mean, obviously we don't use scan spray, so...
No, you can touch it because nothing will change. The tip is rounded, and of course if the patient has a lesion or something else, you should be careful there, so you don't hurt the patient, but otherwise everything is rounded off, so you can actually rest it on the tissue and let it slide, and it doesn't matter if you are in full contact or a bit away, because the TRIOS scans from 0 to 17 millimeters, so there is no actually problem with getting the good scan.
Great. The last thing was, don't be afraid to go back and rescan an area.
And again, because we want to rest the guide on tissue that we know, on tooth or teeth that we see, so we don't have to estimate where the guide is actually going over. And also, if we are using a prosthetic build-up before we actually design the guide, we want to see the contact points and everything else. So remember to catch as much area as possible and all the teeth and contact points that you need for the guide.
So if you follow these 3 rules while scanning out in the clinic, then you put yourself in the best position possible to get the best fit on the guide, and to get the, avoid the situation where you have to manually adjust the guide or anything. Then you will be dead sure that it will fit every time.
Then it will fit and you are in good hands.
Perfect. As Jan mentioned, then we have these videos that we showed here, and we will upload them. We're working on finishing not only one, but there will be a series of TRIOS scanning for surgical guide cases, and we will upload them gradually to YouTube. So stay tuned on that, and then remember to sign up for our next webinar, where we'll go into the dental system integration. So it's a little bit more focused on the lab, but even for the dental clinic, it could be interesting to know how the lab is actually working with surgical guides and implant planning, and what options are out there, because often that option, if the dentist or the clinic has a need for something, then they may only request it if they know the option is there.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting topic. This is actually all we had planned for now for you. Of course, a small advertisement saying Implant Studio 2016 is available. If you haven't checked it out, then go do so. If you have a previous version, then get in touch with your reseller, and then get upgraded to the latest and greatest. If there's questions, then we will stick around for a couple of minutes, and you're more than welcome to shoot any questions to us. If you are running on a busy schedule, then this is what we plan for now, and then we're signing out.
And remember to ask your questions in the chat or in the questionnaire. And also, if you want to write an email, there is an email address where you can contact us directly, and we will get back to you that way. So it was a pleasure talking to you, Thomas, and to all of you out there. Until next time, the June the 30th, don't forget to sign up. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.